Hey everyone, new video, and we're going to be looking at a bit of a rust that I found on a car, and we'll look at how to clean it up, possibly how to fix it. Might be holes behind it, and we'll have to respray that area of the car as well. I'll take you through that. Let's go. Here's the troubled area. I've already pulled this off, and you can see there's a nice big hole we're going to have to fix. I'll take you through. We're going to need to remove this to find out what is behind there and make our decisions from there. Alright, we do have a little bit of rain, so we need to work in between the rain. What I've done is we just pull this off, get down to here. I might want it more off, so if you get your fingers underneath here, you'll be able to undo the clips that side and that side, and then this will simply come off. That will allow us more space to be able to take this off. So there it is there. There it is there. Just gently pull this away. Once you've got enough out of the way so that it'll sit like that, we can have a look. We need to remove this. To remove this, there are some little screwy things here. There's 3 of those. Once they're off, you can just pull that away. If you want, you can get down to the bottom there and work out how to get it out, but I think there's enough space in there for me to work. Unfortunately, this is really not looking very good. We can see the rust looks quite terrible. I'm not going to be able to clean up what's in here, but maybe we can soak it with some rust converter or something and see what we can do. The one thing that I do want to do though is get the light off so I can see this side. Get the light off, simple task. We have a whole lot of nuts here, so there's one there, there's one there, and there's another one in the back there that we need to remove. I'll get on with that and come back to you. Once the nuts are off, we want to remove this plug from that plug, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but we need to actually squash this rubber, squash the rubber and get it to push into that, like that. Once we've got it in that state, we should then be able to pull the light away from the car body. Bit of rain and the sun's coming out, but let's try get this off here. There you go. There's the plug that we've taken out, and there is the car headlight. Now that we have that out, we can have a look at the real extent of the damage, and it's looking terrible. Okay, we'll clean up as much of that as we can. We're going to probably need to treat it with a rust converter, and the hole here we will try and fix maybe with some fiberglass, and we can then respray it and hope it doesn't rust again for a very long time. So to clean up the rust, we're going to use initially a wire brush, but I have a feeling we're going to need probably an angle grinder and definitely some sanding happening here. Let's get the loose rust off and see what's left. So we're gradually getting this further down to a shiny metal. You can see it's really terrible, holes all over the place. Not looking good. We're going to have to patch some of those up with fiberglass. That's going to need an angle grinder to smooth it out. The problem with rust is you never know how deep it is until you start cleaning it up. But it's very necessary to give it a really good clean up and get all the rust off. Otherwise it's just going to keep rusting. There's not much I can do about there other than bend and separate the panels, which I'm really not prepared to do. What we'll do is we'll go get a good rust converter and keep dabbing it in there. I've tried to scrape as much as I can away from inside there. We're going to have to rebuild these sections, possibly with some fiberglass, because I don't have a welding machine. But we've cleaned up as much as I can. Down to shiny metal. We've got the old compressor out and we're going to just give it a bit of a blow now. Get rid of all the dust I've created. The next thing we need to do on the rust is paint on a rust converter so that it converts it to primed metal. Get in there, get in all the nooks and crannies that we haven't been able to get into with anything else. We'll let that dry and then we can put a filler in it, or a primer, or spray it, or whatever we want to do. Welcome back. It's been 48 hours and I've given that paint time to dry. You can clearly see it's turned nice and black, taken the rust and cleaned it up. Have a look inside here. Nice holes all over the place, which we're now going to try and fix. We're now going to try and fix that hole over there. I've got some fiberglass. Let's see what we can do. In order to fix the holes, we're going to need to mix up some fiberglass and some resin. It's one of the options. The other option would be to weld a piece of metal into place and then grind it down smooth. I don't have welding equipment, so we're going to use the resin option. What we need, I worked out probably just a tiny little bit. I'm going to mix up 50 mils and 25 mils. Yep, so I'm going to mix up 25 mils, which is right down the bottom here. It's only going to be a tiny little bit, and so that I don't have to clean things, I've got an old cup. Inside the cup you can see a black spot that's marking 25 mils. I'm going to take this and gently pour it into there. I don't really like doing this. That's going to be more than enough. I'll just reread it again. On a cold day, which it is today, for 50 mils of resin we're going to use 40 drops. So I've used 25 mils, which means I want 20 drops of this catalyst. It's not that cold, so I might cut that back to 15 drops. Drops of catalyst. We're going to give that a good mix with one of the sticks they've given us, and then we're going to do our job. What we need to do is put on some gloves. Just makes cleaning up at the end of the day easier. We're going to need our scissors, our mat. We're going to take that mix with us to the car. What I've done is I've put sellotape behind where I'm going to work, just so that it supports this part over here. I'm going to put a patch over there, and then we will have a look and see once it's dry. We'll put a patch on the other side and then have a look how it looks. What I'm going to do now is I need to get a hold of my fiberglass. Big patch of fiberglass, and I only need a little bit. So if I look there, I'm probably happy to take a strip off there. I'll cut it bigger than what I need. Get this mixed. You want it to be well mixed, so mix it for a good couple of minutes. On the hole we've got here, I want to work on the inside, so I want to try some wax paper if I can. Into that crack. The inside's actually not too bad, but this side is. So we'll put this down. And allow us to put a strip across there as well. So we'll measure these strips. You're going to have lots of resin, so I might as well use it. Alright, once we're ready, give our resin a bit of a mix. Some resin onto the metal. We're going to put our fiberglass mat on top of that. And work the resin into the mat. Put some resin on top of the mat just to give it a good soaking. Just to give us a base to work on. Once this is hard, we'll then look at putting other coats on. We're going to put another piece on the other side. Pushed into that mat. You can see why I've put the wax paper at the back there now. I'm going to push that out. I'm going to put another piece over here. Once that's dry, we'll have a look and see what we're going to do about shaping it, and we might put another piece along that way and get it to fold over if I can get it to fold over. 24 hours later, and we have a nice solid base to now start working on. We're going to give this a good sanding, and then we'll put filler on top of it. Once the filler's dried, we'll sand that down and then look at respraying. That too. nice and hard. The little holes that you still see, this one's already filled up with fiberglass, but any other holes that you see, we'll use the filler when we use it to fill them up. Let's start sanding. That's it. I think we've got the sanding done. At least got the shape this side. Hopefully we've got an edge over there. We'll now use filler and see if we can get that whole area relatively smooth and operational again. Once we've finished our cleanup, I'm going to get a wax and grease remover and just give it all a good wipe down. Once that's done, I'm going to go and mix up some filler and we can start putting filler into the holes to smooth everything out. Now we start with the filler which I've got here. I'll start putting that into the holes. I only want a thin layer on here just to fill up all the little cracks. Remember, the more you put on, the more you have to sand off. What I'm trying to do is get a smooth surface so that you can't see the repair once I'm finished. Here we have it. I've gone and filled little cracks. It's not a clean, tidy job, but what we'll do is we'll sand it down. In there you can see we've filled, that's a hole that I've put some stuff into. And down here. Down here we filled all of that. We'll let it dry, then we'll get a coarse sandpaper and sand it down, and we'll have a look to see if maybe we need to redo it again. We just continue this until we have a nice smooth surface. Once we've put the filler on and the filler's dried, we can take a coarse sandpaper and start sanding it down. Once we've finished with our sanding, we want to give everything a good blowout. Get rid of all the dust. our next round of filler. I'll use a spatula to put it on this time, try to get a smoother finish. We'll try while we're doing this to get our shape now. I'd like this to be our final coat, but it doesn't have to be. What I'll do is I'll get down to sanding that back as soon as it's dry. Only takes about 20 minutes to dry. Here I've tried to actually shape it more towards the body now. We'll try and use a nice straight edge, and I'm sanding it. And if it all comes out looks good, that'll be our last, but there is a very strong possibility that we're still going to use a little bit more just to fill up whatever holes are left or any little patches that need to be touched up. Finally, we've got all of the sanding done. I've got a nice smooth surface there now. There may be a few blemishes, but we'll be able to fill that up once we've done an undercoat. In order to get the undercoat on, we'll need to mask off some of the car first so we don't get overspray. I'm just using a painter's tape. It'll come off easily. And in this case it's just a black rubbish bin plastic bag, but you can use any plastic. Getting all the outside of the car covered. That's that side done. Let's have a look and see what we can do about this. Once we believe we've got enough of it masked up, I'm going to be using an etch primer. An etch primer reacts with the metal and gives you a better grip on bare metal. And although a lot of this is actually paint, we have the bare metal, which is important, so I need to use something that'll grip to that. I'm going to give this can a good shake. You need to be able to hear, they call them rattle cans. We need to be able to hear the rattle. You probably want to do that for 2 or 3 minutes to give it a good mix. I've given the can a good rattle and I'm going to start spraying now, but if you watch, I'm not going to spray right up to the edges because I'll allow the green to go up to the edges. All I want is to cover the pieces that basically don't have paint on them. I don't want to get runs, so I'm not going to put a lot on. We can come back and do a second coat once we're ready. I'm just going to go on the inside. I don't mind a run into the crack that I've got in there because trying to cover where there is rust, has been rust. Doesn't take very long to dry. Once it's dry, I'll put a second coat on. I'm going to give that 10 minutes to dry, and we will have a careful look at it and see if we need to sand it down anyway. That'll give us a nice smooth finish. After we've given it a light sanding, we'll see if we need another coat. If not, we'll do the overcoat. Once everything's nice and dry, we can take the green color and respray that the same as what we've just done. You can see that our big hole that was here is gone. Almost invisible. I haven't done a perfect job because rubber's going to be over that and not visible. So we've finished doing all the spray painting. You can see that it's all looking quite new now. White cracks in there, but that's not the end of the world. It'll be hidden by the rubber. I'm not sure if I'm going to fix that or not. The main parts will be here, and this area over here, which will still be visible. Once we've done the first coat, we can do a second coat. I'm using this. It's color matched. You can see the bottom. We just need to give it a good shaking first. You want to shake it for about 3 minutes. I've already just been using this, so we're not going to do it for quite as long. Just give it a good mix. Take the lid off and spray. That's it. We'll give that a few hours to dry, and then I'll put a 2K clear coat over the top. Once you've given the paint enough time to dry, the final part in the process is to buff it up with a bit of polish. I've already done the coarser polish, which is known as a ultimate compound. That's given us a bit of a shine, and I'm now going to use a finer one just to bring out that little bit more gloss. We can see the colors seem to be matching pretty well with what we're seeing on the bumper below here. Usually I would have put a clear coat on top and you wouldn't see the color, but to match up with the other side I'm not doing that. Alright, we're going to give it a wipe down and see what it looks like. I think that's come up pretty well. Let's have a look. So that's the bumper, that's the original, I haven't touched that. But here we fixed. And up in there, you can see that was all rusted away. This part here had big holes in it. We fixed that one up. You can see a little dent in there. Didn't notice that before. That's not serious though. That's all nice and shiny. And the main fix that we wanted was the surface over here. Had a big rust hole in there, that's all fixed and gone. You can't even see where it's been fixed. And on the inside here, all our holes got filled. You can't see through anywhere where we're not supposed to be able to see through. I haven't polished up on the inside, I don't see the purpose of doing that, but if you want to do your car, get it polished up, you certainly can. Final part of the process, putting it all back together. Now that we've cleaned the rust out of the rubber, we can try put it back on again. So we started off in this groove here. We had a nice big rust mark. So that mark over there is a join between this body and that body, and the rust was running all the way along underneath that mirror, and we had a lot of rust here. So this is the part that's missing. We've rebuilt that so that this rubber can fit back on again. We've resprayed this part here, and resprayed behind the light, and resprayed in that groove. No signs of rust. Hey, if you've enjoyed watching these videos, how about giving us a thumbs up on the video? And if you want to see more videos like this, how about subscribing to my channel? Would be much appreciated. Hope you have a good day. Thanks, bye.